Good evening, everyone. Today is Friday. Forgot to check the date. The 19th of February, and it's been a pretty rough day. And, you know, yesterday there were no children raped or murdered in the MILAB child trafficking operation, and silly me, I took that as a good sign. Well, it was a good sign because no children were raped or murdered, but it just seems that, like, every time we get a step forward in a positive direction, we just get, you know, hit in the head with another brick. And, you know, of course my suspicions always rise because these men are extremely predictable. They always behave in the same way over and over again, and repetition is their, I don't know how to say it. I would say there is their mantra, is their only choice of behavior. It's just constant repetition over and over again. And, you know, it was around noon that the attacks started up again today. And but I'm going to do two reports for today. I'm going to start with Indiana first. And but 279 children were abducted in South America. They're mostly Brazilian children, and they were brought here by a child trafficking company called United States Southern Command, which is military war criminals who are employed in this child trafficking agency from all branches, the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. Here in Indiana, 17 children were brought to be gang raped and murdered at the Indianapolis MILAB, which is located below, it's several levels down in the Indianapolis airport. And I believe it's called the Business District. But it was downtown, and then they moved it out. It's been for decades. They've been killing children in Indiana. And these 17 South American children were delivered to the Indianapolis MILAB late this morning so that 52 invited guests could rape and murder them. 47 males showed up. And Indiana Governor Mike Pence raped 3 boys today and murdered one of them. He rapes boys all the time. He murdered this little boy during forced intercourse, and also attending this event hosted by Indiana Republicans was Attorney General Greg Zoeller. And he raped a 7-year-old Brazilian girl. And then I believe he's Indiana State Representative. I don't think he's, because he's, I think they call him the leader of the House, but not Congress like in Washington, D.C., the Indiana Congress. Brian Bosma is his name, and he raped 2 children. And then he killed the 7-year-old girl that was raped by Greg Zoeller during rape, which is the standard way they do it. They love to choke the children to death while they're raping them, and they like to time out the moment of the child's death to be at the same time that they ejaculate into the child. That's when they swear an oath to Satan and Lucifer. That's the way Satan and Lucifer, one of the 2 ways they used to well, because they're not in existence anymore, and which is another thing that pisses me off. I mean, why even? Well, they do it for many reasons. I think mostly because they're addicted to murdering children, and they feel that, you know, in their special little boys club, all the men who participate in this receive many special privileges. United States Senator Dan Coates raped a 9-year-old girl and then watched her be murdered by a state senator named Eric Bassler, who killed her during rape. And the next child was Indiana Senator Brent Waltz, who's raped well over 100 children. He raped 3 children today and murdered a 6-year-old girl from Ecuador. 3 children were murdered by the 7 Indiana state troopers who've been raping and murdering children for years. And there's 14 Indiana state troopers that are heavily involved in this child trafficking operation. But for some reason so far, just the original 7 have only murdered, and let's see, last time I checked it was 37 children. I think they've I'd have to check that, but I think they've raped, I think they've murdered 37 children now so far and raped. I'm really upset today. I'm sorry. That's why I write things down, because I get so upset and jungling all these numbers in my head. Then I make mistakes, and I want to be extremely, extremely accurate out of respect for these children. And these state troopers, the first seven raped six children tonight, and then ended up murdering 3. And then the other 7 state troopers, that group of 7 raped 7 children, 4 girls and 3 boys. 16 Indianapolis Municipal Police Department officers were there, and that group raped 2 children each. 4 corporate executives murdered 4 children, and after raping 2 children each. Joe Donnelly, United States Senator Joe Donnelly, he was invited, but he ended up going to a similar party like this at Washington, D.C. MILAB number 2. And let's see, the next child was murdered, Todd Young, Indiana U.S. Congressman. He raped 3 children and then murdered a 9-year-old boy. And Brian Bosma, I thought I already mentioned him. He murdered a child, his 4th child tonight, a 7-year-old girl during rape. Did I already mention him? He's just another piece of filth. No, I guess not. I always talking about the other guy who was a U.S. congressman or whatever. This guy's a state representative who's I think they call him leader of the House or whatever. And I don't know how to pronounce this guy's. David Niezgodski. It's pronounced or spelled Niezgodski, and he murdered a child, an 11-year-old girl during rape. Indiana State House of Representative Patrick Bauer, he killed his 5th child tonight, a 10-year-old girl, and she was the 4th child he raped today. Tom Dermody, a state representative from District 20, murdered a 12-year-old girl, and this was his first kill. But he's raped, that was the 18th child that he's raped. And the other 2 children were murdered by these 2 CIA agents who have a very, very, very long history of raping and murdering children with that piece of filth, Mike Pence. And one time I called the governor's office because I wanted the telephone number. There was this little 7-year-old girl from Tennessee, and she was brought up to Indiana by Child Protective Services, and she was picked up at the Indianapolis airport by the 2 CIA agents who took the girl to Pence. And they all gang raped her repeatedly, and then one of the CIA agents killed her, but they took her body and dissolved it in chemicals and then flushed it down, the Indianapolis, into the Indianapolis sewer system, which happens semi-frequently. It's not as much because most of the time, when they're finished with the bodies and the children are dead, see, they used to trade the human children for weapons and technology. And that's how they got this technology of the temporals and these artificial intelligence drones. They also have these little things that look like they're extremely small, like molecules, and they fly around and they record and listen to us in our homes. And they look like little black dots. But they used to trade these children for these type of weapons and technology, but all those have either been arrested or removed. And so now what they do is they process the children in the same manner as food. They have these big tanks where they throw the bodies of the children in because these children are considered trash to them. They're sex toys and trash. And then they take the bodies of the children and they throw them in the tanks, and then they process them as food. And Cargill has been putting these children into their meat supply. And thank you for your prayers for these children. They sure need a lot of prayers.